Hello, good afternoon, good week, wherever you are. Welcome to another episode of Game Analysis and Producer Perspectives. Now, I'm going to be your host once again, Ray Hazlip. Today, we got a bit of a rant going on today. You could probably say that most of these podcasts in one way, shape, or form are rants, but this one is just a rant. It's a big, long one, too. We're going to talk about physical and digital media. Again, I know it's an ongoing topic. If you've been a fan of this podcast, the entire podcast family of unscripted gaming, for a long time, you've probably heard me and Josh go back and forth on this ever so often, every couple of months, at least once a year. Now, Josh is of the mind that digital media is good, it's great, and convenient. It's so convenient that we should just consume it, and that's kind of it. I'm of the opposite end. I think most media, especially media that could be physicalized, is a form of art, and we should not take advantage of that. We should not take it for granted, because that's what corporations want. They want you to see it as nothing but just disposable, which is kind of a passive and kind of also an active, but more likely a passive insult to the people that made the art, unless they made it disposable. You can't convince me certain shows are disposable and are just meant to fill a time slot. I'm looking at you, Big Bang Theory, but that's me being like a hater right now. There are lots of people that like Big Bang Theory. That's why it was on for, I think 10 years or something like that. And even I respect the fact that that should exist because people like it. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that it should die in a fire or something like that. No, it's fine. People like it. A lot of people like it. People laugh at its jokes, laugh at its laugh track. Get it out there then. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. So let's talk about big scale physical media changes that have been happening lately in the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, I forget exactly when, I think it was 2019 or 2021, but Best Buy stopped carrying Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays inside their store. I do believe you could buy them still online, and I think you can still right now. But there was an announcement given not too long ago where Best Buy said they're going to go back to carrying Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays in their marketplace, which is great. I hope that means actually physically in the store. I don't know if I read that incorrectly, but I read that as in the store, which is awesome. That's great, because Best Buy is one of the last physicalized places where you can get new forms of media, electronics, entertainment devices. Most of the other ones are gone. There's no Circuit City. There's no Radio Shack. There's Fry's, I guess, but they're all starting to die because most people can buy their stuff online at Newegg, Tiger Direct, what have you. So I want to talk about why this is really important and why this is actually a reflection of where the consumer brain is going. Now, I am taking marketing classes right now in grad school, and I told one of my friends, Michael, if he listens to these podcasts, that I'm excited and also nervous about taking the marketing classes because I'm bad at marketing, because I give human beings way too much credit. I always think okay, no one's going to really fall for this tactic that they're using, right? This is just going to be they're going to throw it out there. It'll maybe sell a couple, but then it'll die on the vine. And no, sometimes it just works. Sometimes it hits a specific market segment and people just love it. And then eventually it dies on the vine. But sometimes it makes it big. Things that I always thought would just die on the vine are digital-only consoles when there is a perfectly good disk drive version of the console sold right next to it. And I remember seeing the announcement of the PlayStation 5. Let's actually talk about the PlayStation 5. For the lifetime sales right now, in near the back end of 2025, I do believe Sony has sold something like 65 million units of hardware. And it was revealed that from 2024 to when they started selling console in 2020, the digital version of the PlayStation 5 console, before the price hike, it was a cheaper version. It was $400. Then later on, they started selling the separate disc drive for the digital version. Not directly with it, but they sold it as a separate item for $80. So if you wanted to, you could go ahead and get the cheaper digital version, then get the disc drive and save yourself $20. That's up to you. I wouldn't have done that. I'm looking at my disc drive version of PS5 right here. It was $100 more, but I have a disc drive. And apparently, many people saw it that way. The digital version of the PlayStation 5 accounts for only 18% of so far the lifetime console sales. 18. Not even a fifth. 82% of all hardware unit sales are going to be some form of disc drive version of a PlayStation 5. What about its competitor, the Xbox Series X and the S? Now, Microsoft is in a bit of a rut. They're not selling like console units. They're not selling enough of those at all. They're actually way behind their Xbox One sales, which were already lagging. So Microsoft doesn't like to openly reveal to the public what their direct hardware unit sales are. You have to kind of go digging and do the math yourself, which isn't too terrible. So in 2024, apparently Microsoft sold 2 million Xbox Series X and S units. That's not a lot, because by this time in 2020, by this time in this part of the life cycle, the consoles have been out for 4.5 years. I'm sorry, almost 5 years. Yeah, 5.5 years. The Xbox One would have sold like 3 million units in that year, 3.8 million units. So the system of the previous generation that they are lagging behind, they're lagging behind by a lot. Something like, I do believe they have sold less than 50% so far of all of PlayStation 5. So they're direct competitor sales units. They're not just in third place between a Nintendo Switch, and we'll add in Switch 2, and a PlayStation 5, and an Xbox Series S and X and S. They're in a very, very distant third place. But even then, extrapolating that, you can see that not much of their consoles are selling, because they've dove into, most of our games are going to be offered digitally online via Microsoft Game Pass. And they have never once, I take that back. I think they've done it once in 2022, I think. But we'll take that one time. We'll pretend that one time happened. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. They have maybe only once hit their goal for the number of subscribers that they want to hit for Microsoft Game Pass. I remember reading an article saying that the number of subscribers that they wanted to hit was something like 100 million people across the entire world would have a Microsoft Game Pass account. Last time I checked last year, that number was about 29 million. They're not hitting that. Nobody wants it. No, well, people want it. Nobody wants it in the numbers that they were thinking about. They wanted this to be the Netflix of video games. And in a way, it kind of is, but it's also kind of really not. Let's go on to the other console manufacturer, Nintendo. With their Switch 2, they introduced a new way to deliver games. They're called game keycards. What a game keycard is it looks just like a Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 cartridge. You plug it in and it looks no different. But all that keycard is just a key. And so your Switch 2 has to be logged on to the internet, typically via Wi-Fi, unless you Ethernet cable it up, but let's just say Wi-Fi. And it validates that key and then it downloads the entire game onto your console. There's no game on that cart. There might be enough game to say, like, here's a tutorial or something like that, but there's no game there. You're charging $60, $70, $80 for a code. Now, the key card can still be traded in. It can still be exchanged. You can go, if let's say you wanted to go to GameStop and you're like, hey, I want to trade in this video game with a game key card on it. They'll accept it, and it would be as good as trading in the game to them. But here's the problem with that. Nintendo, of all three companies I just mentioned, they are the least trustworthy company to do this sort of game delivery process. Nintendo, even between all these three companies, is the worst about game preservation. So they do not get to say to us, we have your back, here's a game key card, don't worry, we're not going to shut off the extremely vital server infrastructure to validate these game key cards so you can download the game. Because this has happened before. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, which came out on the PlayStation 4, if you buy the disc for that game and you put it into your PlayStation 4, you get 2 tutorial levels and nothing else. You have to connect online and it downloads the rest of the game. Activision, being ashamed of this game, eventually shut off the servers for that game. You can't, last time I checked, so this might be wrong, maybe they turned it back on, but for a while, you could not play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 if you had the disc for it. That is exactly the apocalyptic game key card scenario that could easily happen with all Nintendo games. And I know, some of you that might be listening to this might think that's being hyperbolic. Yeah, I'm sure it happens, but Nintendo is a very large, multi-billion-dollar Japanese software company and software and hardware company. Why would they do that? They've done it before. Nintendo made a game, Mario Maker. You can buy it for the Nintendo Wii U. Really good game. You make your own Mario levels and you share them online with millions upon millions of people that made their levels and shared them online. Even Southwest Airlines had a whole marketing campaign where they made their own Mario Maker level. It is a really cool game. And then, very recently, last year, in April of 2024, Nintendo shut down the server that supported Mario Maker. So all of those custom levels, all those millions of hours of time that people spent making those levels, gone. All of that work, gone. All of that shared content, gone. Why? They just didn't want to pay for the server infrastructure. It's gone now. You can still play Mario Maker, hooray, but the biggest draw to that game is sharing levels with other human beings. That was and is the draw to that game. There's a Mario Maker 2, but it's not as good as the Nintendo Wii U version for a lot of different reasons. So Nintendo also did this before with the shutdown of the Virtual Console, which was, at the time, the best form of video game preservation on the planet, besides the actual Video Game National History Museum. You could go to the Virtual Console and for a couple of bucks sometimes, you download almost any Super Nintendo, NES, GameCube. Yeah, they had GameCube, N64 game, and put it right there either on your Wii or on your Wii U, and it was great. I downloaded so many games on that. I still have my Wii U in my closet. I still have a bunch of games I downloaded on that. Then they shut it down. They said they did not or could not support that server infrastructure for the Switch and Switch 2. They'll give us something different. And the something different that they have is a pale shadow of itself compared to Virtual Console support services. There were thousands of games on the Virtual Console that were not available anywhere else because those games had been out of print for decades. Another example, and this is all Nintendo. This is all to prove the point that I simply can't trust them with game key cards. They shut down the what was the name of that service? I do believe the eShop, the Nintendo eShop. There were so many indie publishers and active publishers that make games exclusively for the Nintendo eShop. All of it with the intent of Nintendo's gonna keep this going forever so we can sell this game forever. No, Nintendo decided, we're not gonna support the eShop on the Switch. We're definitely not gonna support it on any future console, which happened to be the Switch 2. We're gonna shut it off, and I do believe in March of 2023 or it was 23. They shut it off. It's gone. There were thousands. As a matter of fact, in the show notes for this episode, I will share an article from Video Games Chronicle. It's literally titled, "Here are the thousands of digital-only Wii U, 3DS, and Wii games that will be disappearing when the eShop gets shut down." And it's such a depressing list. It's an obituary in a certain way of all of a bunch of these games that you will have no way to access. Games like Pushmo, Fast Racing Neo, Dylan's Rolling Western. Actually, I have that game. It's on my 3DS. Guild 01 and Guild 02. This is a companion set, a compilation of games made by a bunch of different Japanese studios. All of them gone. If you ever got interested in seeing what any of those were, it's incumbent now on the developer to find a way to, for some of these games, they were specifically built for the console that they were made with in mind, to get them working on something else. Otherwise, some of those companies just, for whatever reason, don't exist anymore. It's a sad state of affairs. Those games are gone. So, I hope that you can understand why I just simply do not trust Nintendo with game key cards, because I know until they prove otherwise, and that has not happened yet, I know that those are ticking time bombs. Like, eventually they're going to shut those servers off, and that game key card will mean nothing. It'll be this very little small piece of plastic. Now, legally speaking, can Nintendo do that? Can they shut off a server and you just have zero access to a game you bought? Yeah. This happens all the time with live service games. This happens all the time with like certain games that I'm surrounded by. The version, I always say this again, I have the disc for Battlefield 2142. I can't play it. The servers are offline. But I have the disc for it. Now, there are good things. I don't want to sound like a curmudgeon on all digital games. I own a bunch of digital games. I actually spent 4 hours today playing a digital game. I was playing Signalis, in case you're curious. Very good horror shooter. The good thing about digital games, I'll go over a list. For one, they save space. Physical games do take up physicalized space inside your home. Digital games, they take up digital space, typically on a solid state drive somewhere on your game console or in your computer. So, need to save space? Get a digital game. This one's kind of macabre, but it's also true. Well, not macabre. It's just kind of a dark way of thinking about it, but it's absolutely true because it's happened to me before. If someone was to break into your home and rob you, all of your digital games, really easy to get back. I have been robbed before. I was at one point in my life living in a very rough part of Orlando, Florida. And my PlayStation 3, my Xbox 360, my Nintendo Wii, a bunch of games for them, all stolen, all gone. But for any of the games that I digitally downloaded, I was able to log into my account and at least get some of those back. My laptop was also stolen, and all of my schoolwork was saved into the cloud. So I was able to easily get that back with a backup laptop I had hidden away. So there is some benefits to actually having stuff squirreled away digitally. Also, digital games support the indie scene in a big way. There are many, many indie games that could not exist without there being a fully digital option for those games. I have played many, many games that just simply only exist in digital form, and there is no physicalized version of it. Very recently, Deltarune's Chapter 3 and Chapter 4. I'm sure there will be a physicalized version of Deltarune once it's all done with Chapter, 6, 7. Right behind me, I actually have a sealed-in-the-box copy of Undertale on disc, but that's from Limited Run Games. It's actually not a copy that's meant to be open and played. But yeah, the very first time I played Undertale, that was a digital-only game, and realistically, it's There is no real physical copy of Undertale. There is some physical copies, but they were sold as collector's items, not really items that you're supposed to play. You know what I mean? So yeah, the digital scene is super convenient. You want to go ahead and play a game, and you're strapped in a location and you don't know where the nearest GameStop or Best Buy or wherever selling games. Yeah, you could just log online and download it. Wait about an hour or two, depending on the size of the game, and boom, there you go. You're playing the game. You're up and running. So those are the positives, and yeah, I can easily acknowledge there's a ton of positives to having digital space, digital media in this space. It's super convenient, and it's not going to go away. I'm not saying that at all. I would be a hypocrite to say digital games or digital movies or something like that should just go away. No. What I want is a stronger, more fermented, more foundationally built version of physical games out there. I don't want physical media to ever go away, because the world has proven that they will not take the inch, they will take miles. Let's talk about the negatives of digital games, not just about Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony, what have you. Let's talk about the fact that digital media was supposed to go down in price. It has not. We were sold a bill of goods decades ago, saying when there's more digital media in the space, then the cost of the actual media itself will eventually go down, because it doesn't cost as much money to transmit that or to transport it to the end consumer. And it's absolutely true. I'm not buying it on a disc or a Blu-ray, or I'm not buying the packaging. It's not in the brick and mortar store. I'm not paying for any of that. I'm just paying for my internet and I guess a little bit of the server infrastructure to get it to me. Prices for digital versions of games have never gone down. I have, at least in all my years of playing, making, and teaching video games, have I ever seen like, here's the digital version, it's cheaper than the physical version. I've never seen that day and date, ever. Why should we still get a digital version when the physical version is... If you give me the choice between a digital version and the physical version, and they're both easily as accessible, there's a GameStop about 2 miles down the road from me. I will always choose the physical version. Very, very, very rarely will I choose a digital version. I have to be in a pinch. And access to the digital versions of these games, especially on the PC, is getting awful nowadays. Absolutely awful. I played the beta version of Battlefield 6, and the anti-cheat software of it was asking for basically some high-level access to my computer just so it can run its anti-cheat in the background. Now, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be when I looked into it, but still, it's obnoxious. There's also the reminder that one day a lot of these digital services, they may go out of print, or they may quote unquote go out of print. They may not be offered at or be as accessible. And then what? Then what do you do? It's just gone. Here's an example. Deadpool, a game that came out in, I want to say 2014, 2013. It's just a game where you play as Deadpool. You can't buy that game. The company that made it, Activision, or one of the developers for Activision, they lost the rights to that after they sold the game, and they basically had to take it off the market after a full year. And it's not a great video game. I've watched a Let's Play of it. You're not losing a ton of money, but it's still there and still entertaining. And I'm sure that there are people that are huge fans of Deadpool. Why not? There are 3 movies based on the guy, so I imagine that there are fans of him that would probably get a kick out of playing a little bit of a game from him. And then good luck finding it. Good luck finding any copy. There's no digital or physical version of that. You have to find it used. And used physical, I might say. That's another advantage. If something goes completely out of print or someone loses the licensing rights for it, as long as there were enough copies sold, you could potentially still find it out there. Now, back to the digital versions of things and their costs. Costs for digital versions of entertainment has only gone up in the years, and you can't blame tariffs for that one. Netflix used to be $8 a month. And $8 a month got you the streaming service. You want to pay a little extra, $10 a month or something like that. You got the streaming service and the mail service. But it used to be not an argument. If you wanted to watch TV shows, movies easily, you got Netflix for $8 a month. You are getting all the content that you want and need. Now, Netflix, as of today, for the ad-free version, I can't believe I'm saying this, the ad-free version of Netflix. You've turned into the enemy, Netflix. How dare you? For the ad-free version of Netflix, it is $18 a month. That's so much. And it's not like a bunch of the content, in my opinion, on Netflix has improved to the point where you believe it's worth $18 a month. I actually don't have a Netflix subscription. I think I do right now because I paid for the ad-free version just to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. And that cost me $8 because I did not want to watch any shows. I'm like, no, I'm going to justify this as I'm paying $8 just to watch one movie. And if there are ads in it, there are ads in it. That's not just Netflix. Now there's Hulu, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus. And of course I'm saying Paramount Plus because how else am I going to watch my Star Trek? But all of that together costs about, and those are just the 4 services I listed, all of that together costs about $55 a month. You might as well get, welcome back cable subscriptions. You never left. And half of those services I mentioned come with commercials by default. You have to pay extra for the non-commercial version of it, which is just nuts to me. And then if you want the non-commercial commercial version of anime, got to get my giant robot fix sometimes. That's Crunchyroll. That's $15 a month. And Crunchyroll is the worst with commercials. They will somehow find a way to put 8 commercials in a 22-minute episode of something like Dungeon Meshi or something like that. Actually disgusting. Actually gross. It's not worth it. Piracy is back, I guess, if you want to go ahead and go that route. I don't know. This is also not including that some of the digital subscription services are just loading their service with AI-generated filth and slop. I never had a Spotify account, but it's so many articles you could read about it, and I'm sure some people listening to this know exactly what I'm talking about. Spotify is burdened with AI-generated music that sounds like just trash. No heart, no soul. It's all McDonald's chicken nuggets of music. Like, yeah, it's food, I guess. But is it good food? Is it food that is worth the money? No and no. So yeah, give me back more physical media. Give me CDs. That's how I've been buying my music nowadays. I haven't had a paid music subscription unless you count YouTube Music, which comes with YouTube Premium. That YouTube Premium I do have, and I've had since 2014, back when it was called YouTube Red. It's one of the only services I'm like, yes, this works. This works really well, and I gladly pay monthly for it just because I watch so many different YouTube videos and I do not want to see ads on it. It's worth it to me. So I guess you can count YouTube Music. I don't really listen to it, but anytime I want music, I either find it via, like I said, YouTube Music, or just YouTube, or I buy the CD. Yeah, I have a small stack of CDs that I'm recollecting again. It's good. It's fine. Same thing with games. I just buy the games. I want a game. I just buy it. There is one exception. I did play. Obviously, bought Claire Obscure, the Expedition 33, and it's near impossible to find physicalized versions of that game. I want to buy the physical version of that game. I really like that game, and I'm super sad I could get it digital only. But They ever make a physical version of that, absolutely. Here's $60 your way. Even if I already beat it, I'll beat it again. I'll absolutely sit down and beat it again. It's no problem. And this is what the market wants. Like, there's data out there. There's, as far as I'm concerned, there's no more argument against it. To cap this off, recently, Nintendo, after releasing the Switch 2, 1 month later, they sent out a survey to everyone with a Nintendo Online subscription that they could track had a Switch 2, asking, hey, how do you feel about video game key cards? And a lot of people took the survey, myself included. Like, I took it the moment I saw it. And I answered very negatively about key cards. I answered all my demographic information, honestly. Like, here's where I am, here's my age range, here's my income range, here's what my family's like, here's how many like Nintendo devices we have in the house, whatever. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to buy a Nintendo game keycard game. Just no. I would actually rather buy the digital version of that game, because at least if I have that digital version on the console, as long as I can keep the console alive, I can still have that game, and that'll be way more accessible than the game key card version. Game key card version is like the worst of both worlds when you shut off the server. Most likely when. Which, that's the thing about Nintendo shutting off servers. It's never a long time. It's never long. It's like 7 years. They never keep those servers going very long. Maybe they kept the Virtual Console one going for a long while, but still. So that's why I'm appreciative of physical media making a much stronger comeback. It was starting to fade for a little bit, but it's firming up. There are arguments out there of, I think I heard Jeff Gershman several weeks ago say that the argument for game key cards is it'll keep the price of games down low. Like, if you don't want $80 games, then game key cards are the way to keep those costs down. I'm going to call BS on that. Sorry. No. There is an argument that the cost of making games has gone up. Absolutely. There is an argument there. And I think Nintendo is one of the few companies that gets to actually have that argument. Because other companies, no. Pretty sure Microsoft, their games division, is still making a ton of money. They're a huge publisher. They somehow found a way to spend $70 billion just for Activision. I think they're doing all right if they think Activision is worth $70 billion. And a lot of companies are having mass layoff waves. This is why Nintendo gets to get away with this, in my opinion. Nintendo has not had massive layoff waves, not like Sony and Microsoft have. No, we're not even close. So I don't want to hear it from these giant multi-billion, or in the case of Microsoft, multi-trillion dollar companies pleading poverty and saying we need to raise the prices. Meanwhile, their stock has to go up, up, up. No, I'm sorry, I don't want to hear it. That's BS. It's just simply not true. How about you stop laying off so many people, then you can go ahead and start saying we need to raise the price of games. Let's have that conversation first. All right. So that's why I said this was going to be a rant. It's going to be a long one. Thank you very much to everyone from listening. If you are interested in some of the books I've written, the post-apocalyptic science fiction books, go ahead, go to Amazon, or just type in my legal name. Go to stanhazlip.com or type in Ray Hazlip in Amazon. You'll see my author page. Look at those. If you want to listen to more unscripted gaming content, go to unscriptedgaming.com. It has constant updates of different sorts of videos and podcasts that we are doing. And if you are interested in more content, period, we have plenty of unscriptedgaming.com videos on our YouTube page as well. Look at those. It'll be fun. All right. Thank you very much for your time. You have yourself a good week and weekend. Bye.